And so for the last time this year, most likely this will be the last preview of 2024. And before we get into the usual proceedings of these kind of videos, I thought it'd obviously be a great opportunity to say thank you to the entire Pies Footy community for building along this special journey that has been, for me, on a personal note. Obviously the results have not gone Collingwood's way this year, but a byproduct of this season has been what we have been able to make out of this community that we have. So I just want to thank every single one of you that comes back consistently to click on these videos and listen to me ramble on for 20 minutes at a time. And yeah, I'm really hopeful that we can keep this going next year. We'll be back. The podcast will be back. The streams will be back with Caleb. The videos will not stop in the off season. So while there will be a shortage of games being played over the next 6 weeks, I can guarantee you Pies Footy will be providing content for the next 6 months until the new season comes back around. And hopefully that time doesn't feel too long, but I'll try my best to make sure it doesn't feel like that. But our last task at hand is Melbourne at the G on a Friday night to open up the final round of the year. Look, it's unfortunate the way things have gone about, but what has been a positive within this darkness has been the fact that towards the back end of the year, as it's gotten colder and results aren't going your way, we haven't folded. After Hawthorn, we could have folded. After last week, we could have given up against Sydney. After the first quarter and a bit against Brisbane, we could have just packed it up and said, we're done. Mentally, we're cooked. This is the easy way out. Collingwood did not take the easy way out the last 4 to 5 weeks. They've seen out the rest of the season. Obviously, there's still another game to go. But that is what makes up that premiership identity. And that's just this relentlessness to not give up and almost believe in yourself to a delusional level, so much so that you force that, pendulum to swing back your way. I thought Fly was delusional in keeping Darcy Moore in the back line. I thought either he needed to be put forward or have a rest. And now he's come back and he's playing like he did last year. And look, will Roostem miss decisions around Fly's selection? Even like picking Will Parker over someone like Joe Richards over the course of the weekend is still a bit mind-boggling, but how much of does a say Fly have when it comes to that? I'm not too sure. But hopefully we get to see someone like Joe Richards play the final game of the year. There's obviously rumours that he could be on his way out to Port Adelaide or something like that. Whether that's a matter of he just wants to live in a lesser, crazy environment that the bubble that Melbourne is, coming from Wangaratta. It's obviously two different cities, towns, whatever you want to call it. So I can understand where he's coming from if that's the justification. But if you want to give him every chance to stay, surely you play him in this final game. And I'm really hoping Collingwood can finish on a solid note. If we win this game, we would have beaten Carlton, Melbourne and Brisbane in our last 4 and probably should have beaten Sydney. If you finish the season like that, you have to take that confidence into the next season. So that's, I think, going to be one of the large motivators going into this final game. It doesn't feel like anybody is set to retire. So that's interesting to note. This, as we speak, nothing has come out yet. Obviously, it's very early in the week, but it's the Nick Dacos-Brownlow game as well, really. I think it will come down to these final rounds where you probably asking the umpires, does that 13 disposal 2-goal game or 2-goal quarter against Brisbane in that second quarter last week warrant you the 3 votes, or does Darcy Cameron take the full allotment because he was absolutely amazing and will be the runner-up in the Copeland Trophy medal, maybe even the winner, depending how the club, interprets the Copeland Trophy. it is the best and fairest. So I'm not too sure how that transpires. But yeah, Nick Dacos probably needs another 2 or 3 votes here to really rival the likes of Patrick Cripps, Bontempelli. I think someone like Sarong might be around the mark. So there's still a lot riding into this game for this year and for moving forward. There's players who probably still want to prove themselves. I bet you Nathan Kruger's chomping at the bit to get back into the side and have an opportunity. Is Ash Johnson dreaming of this, I guess, Hail Mary to come back in? Like, these are the things that go through my mind. Finlay McRae is probably begging for a game after his 30-odd disposal game. Reef McInnes off the half-back flank for the VFL is probably saying, hey, am I worth a fancy? Like, there are a lot of players who are fighting for spots this week, even though this is a game that is basically going to see Collingwood out and doesn't really mean a whole lot from the ladder standpoint. But at the same time, that's why I don't think Fly's going to go the route of, let's just rest all out these players and play young. And it would be ironic if he does go that way, because when I've said, yeah, maybe we should go young, he hasn't. And now I'm saying, I don't know if we're going to go young. I think we're still going to play our best side. And then he goes and rests. Imagine if he rests Darcy Cameron, Scott Pendlebury, Jeremy Howe, Charlie Dean comes in, Kruger comes in. It would be interesting. But I think my biggest watch this week for the game on Friday night, outside of what I've already mentioned, is whether Billy Frampton plays and who comes in for him if that's the case. I think Charlie Dean has had some difficulties, and we rated him harshly against that matchup against Sam Darcy from the Bulldogs? And now Sam Darcy is looking like this unicorn and could be the best key tall forward by next year. So then you say, well, geez, I mean, if we're judging him against playing against the best forward in the league, then maybe we were a little bit harsh to start things off with. So I think Charlie Dean has a bit more to show. I don't know if Di Mattia and TJ are there just quite yet, but Ed Allen is somebody who's certainly knocking on the door. He was in the emergencies last week. He did play in the VFL. Harry Di Mattia was the rollover player. So there's still a whole bunch to consider. I mean, Harvey Harrison out with the ACL is unfortunate, but I feel like we've really left no stone unturned this year when it comes to our youth. Besides, our draftees and Ed Allen, I think. Jacob Ryan's been on the out. I'm not too sure what will happen with him. Aiden Begg, likely to be delisted, I think. But yeah, we're not talking a whole lot about the Collingwood Melbourne game, but more so what this means the next couple weeks, and if we don't see player X and player Y and player Z on the weekend, that maybe the writing is on the wall. And yeah, Melbourne, they just beat Gold Coast at Gold Coast, so it's not going to be an easy game. They're going to want to finish their season with their head held high. They've been through the ringer with these Petrarca rumours, the issues with Oliver, Joel Smith in the pre-season, Jack Viney potentially wanting to leave. So there's a lot of turmoil within their four walls at the Melbourne helm. So I don't think this is going to be a dead rubber in the way that the game feels. Remember, this was the fixture we had in that qualifying final, that Friday night qualifying final fixture. So they're going to want to right some wrongs there. And we convincingly beat them in that Queen's Birthday clash. So they're going to want to get one back on us. They're a proud club led by Max Gawn. So whether those players play, I'm not too sure. But look, not a whole lot of stats to read into this week. I think we know what we need and what we want out of this team, out of this game going into the off season. So hopefully we can sit back, just enjoy it a little bit more. I said in that video I released regarding Collingwood season being over, is we can just relax for a little bit. We might have to hold our breaths one more time against Melbourne if the game ends up being close. But I think, guys, get used to these close finishes. They're not going anywhere in the AFL. They're going to be much more prevalent. I think the way the game is moving, the way it's umpired, it favours, it encourages you, implores you to move the ball fast and take the game on. and kick 3, 4, 5 goals and stack it on. Momentum, etc., etc. So get used to that in the off season. I don't think there's any point, I guess, dawdling on the fact or dreading on the fact that these close games, they're going to bite us in the ass sometimes, and sometimes we're going to bite other teams in the ass. Just get used to it. It's going to go both ways. It's going to be tit for tat. So get used to it. And guys, once again, thank you so much for this year. This has been incredible. It's given me so much purpose in my life, and I can't wait to do this all again in 2025. Go Pies.